First up, say how great it is to be here over in Ireland and meeting all you guys. As you, it was kind of a wonderful thing to be invited to talk about kind of building a brand. And I suppose the first thing to say is that we're very much at the start of our journey in terms of what we're trying to achieve and where we're going to go. But what Guy and I are going to do tonight is just talk to you a little bit about what we've done in those first 3 or 4 years and some of the really valuable lessons we've learned. And something that I would say is that at every stage of the journey along the way of kind of building a brand and trying to build something concrete from our marketing activity, there's always been a doubt as to whether that thing would last and endure. So actually it's great to be here talking about things that have endured, and I think that would be one of the first lessons I've said, that sometimes you just have to kind of move forwards. So first up, our story. Our story began in 2000 and, well, it really began in 2011, 2012, while we were working in financial jobs in London. I was a lawyer, Guy worked in private equity, and Rob, our third co-founder, was working in risk analysis. And we were all working day by day in kind of financial roles, but the truth is our kind of great passion and what we really loved doing was running and kind of getting out into the great outdoors, into nature. So in 2012, we signed up to do the Marathon des Sables, which is a week of kind of ultra marathons across the Sahara Desert in kind of 120-degree temperature that we did for charity. And the following year, we really wanted to go one step further. We were completely addicted to running, and I suppose there was also a very strong social impact to what we were doing. So we really wanted not just to be organizing these big running projects, but also to be raising money and making a difference. So we conceived of this idea. We wanted to, well, we'd met this amazing charity called Love 146 that was trying to set up the first home for trafficked children in the UK. And they told us that they really wanted to raise £250,000 to do this. It kind of became clear to us at that point that, you know, the three of us emailing our friends and family with just giving links wasn't going to get to £250,000. And that ultimately the only way we were going to do this was, one, to have a pretty incredible challenge and really push ourselves to our kind of absolute limits. And secondly, to mobilize as many people as we could for that challenge. So the resulting challenge was Run for Love, which was a 1,000-mile run across Eastern Europe to try and fight human trafficking, all within a month and all done while we were sort of training for our day jobs. And at this point, I might just quickly hand over to the video just to show you, give you a little flavor of how Tribe began.
Anything's possible if you want to do it. And it's just a question of making that first step.
3 London friends are preparing to run 39 marathons in just 30 days across 9 countries in Eastern Europe to help the fight against child trafficking.
We set up this amazing project called Run for Love, which was a 1,000-mile run across Eastern Europe.
And we ended up having 250 plus runners join us at various stages along the run. We raised £250,000 for charity. What we really noticed is when we ate well, the next day we were bouncing.
The trail mixes we were making, which is from all unrefined whole foods, were much better for our bodies and gave us the energy and nutrients we needed.
Tribe is at the forefront of a revolution in the way people train and think about nutrition.
We want to become the leading sports nutrition brand in this country.
We're not just shoving a product through your letterbox or on your desk. We're going to be your companion in a healthy lifestyle.
Over 15,000 athletes, runners, cyclists, yogis have attended Tribe events since launch.
I hope Tribe is always about things like this. I hope it's always about people coming together, trying to raise money and trying to make a difference. We finished the run in 2014, well, actually in 2013, and I suppose there were three things that we'd learned, and it was the biggest project we'd ever taken on, but there were three key learnings we'd had from that. The first and most important was that, we were in these amazingly beautiful, stunning places, pushing ourselves, running as far as we could, and the only sports nutrition we can find had, terrible long lists of sweeteners and artificial preservatives and a kind of highly metallic kind of look and feel. So it just didn't feel right to us. It didn't feel right that you should be doing something that was healthy, great for you, and, completely organic, but yet eating something on that mountainside or on that run that was ultimately full of rubbish. So I suppose that was our kind of first learning. The second learning was equally important, was just all around the power of community, and that, I suppose that ultimately is kind of our main message tonight, both for Tribe and, for the learning we've had from a marketing perspective, that if you can mobilize people and bring them together and create a sense of engagement and experience around a product, then that's really powerful. So we really wanted to carry that forward. So ultimately, everything we're trying to do around Tribe comes back to our mission, which is we don't believe that when you're being healthy, when you're being active, you should snack on products that are full of rubbish. And we're going to talk a lot today about how we think the next bounce of the ball is all going to be around being natural, being plant-based, and being healthier. And that, there's going to come a point quite soon where people, pick up a protein bar and they see, a list of 20 artificial preservatives and unnatural ingredients, and they're not going to want that. And I think there's a really powerful consumer movement that we want to be at the part of, and also lead. So that is that. And then I suppose we'll come through how our values kind of ultimately go through everything we do. But again, it's trusting nature, believing in natural. It's being bold. Which is never forgetting that our journey began with a 1,000-mile run, and we have to push ourselves, and we have to be bold and want to achieve. Fighting for freedom. We still have we've built since Run for Love a anti-human trafficking charity that sits alongside the business, and this year something like 2,500 people will fundraise for that charity. So it's a really important part of what we do, that there's still that social mission. And then finally, community and being a tribe, and that's what we're going to talk a lot about tonight. But I'll hand over now to Guy.
Shall I do... Or is this working? Even better. Thanks, Tom. So I think, Tom really sold the vision and explained kind of why we do what we do, what gets us out of bed and what makes us so excited. And I probably got the less sexy part of the presentation, which is talking about our products and where we fit, and so the category vision that we have. But as we heard earlier in the other videos, the products are at the heart of what you do. The products have to be great, but then it's kind of selling the brand and giving that wider experience that will really make you stand out the test of time. So we actually, and we'll go on to it on the next slide in a little bit, but we actually started off as a direct-to-consumer business, and we really believe that as a direct-to-consumer business, it's the way to build that community, have that direct interaction with your customers. So these are just 9 of our SKUs. We actually have 35 different SKUs that we sell online through our subscription and e-commerce platforms. But using the data from that, and it's a lesson that we can go on to talk about, but using the data from that, we then extract our best performing SKUs for the broadest possible market that we believe will work in a retail context. So we've got a range of natural protein bars, natural protein shakes in the middle, and then all-round performance bars, low sugar bars at the end there, but all with the same 4 fundamental pillars, being 100% natural, so you'll never see a polyoil or a preservative or an artificial sweetener in our products. They're all vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free. And it's worth highlighting that we didn't set out to build a vegan, gluten-free or dairy-free brand, but by virtue of using high-quality natural ingredients, it ended up that way. I think the third thing is it was built for performance, and really we tested all these products on ourselves, so we were our own customers. We felt our own pain points of not wanting to eat rubbish when we're in these beautiful places. And also, when you run a marathon and a half every day for 30 days,
you have quite a fine level of perception of what works for your body and what doesn't by the end. So some days, because we were self-supported, we were eating chicken nuggets and Snickers, and the next day we were able to fuel ourselves the right way, and we were able to perceive the difference of how that made you feel and how that made you perform. So we know the answers, We don't have to go to the science lab to tell you that. And then finally, a source of protein. I mean, I think this is an important thing to highlight as probably it's a clearly big, mega marketing trend, and protein has been a massive driver across, you see it, whether it be yogurts or crisps, protein crisps now, and all sorts. And there is a little bit of response to customer demand as well. But again, fundamentally, our products were always rich in protein. And then when we do want to supplement that, we added a little bit of natural pea and rice protein, which gives you all the amino acids. But yeah, just as I said, starting off as a digital brand. So when we first launched, we launched really off the back of Run for Love, and that gave us, on top of the 3 lessons that Tom talked about, the fourth thing that it gave us is this entrepreneurial spirit. 3 city types who were, working all hours of the day at their desks, for financial institutions and such like. We found the time and the drive to effectively get a campaign, Run for Love, from 0 to raising £250,000. That also gave us that entrepreneurial spirit. So coming back from that, Tom received a Graze box in the post. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the brand. Amazing brand, what they did. But I suppose what our reaction to that was, it's a great, it's an innovative route to market, but the underlying product was fairly undifferentiated at the time. They've obviously gone through lots of NPDs since, but at the time it was fairly undifferentiated, and it felt very transactional. It felt like they were just trying to get more and more products through the post to you, and charge you for it. So we thought there was an opportunity with our functional nutritional products that were better for you and actually helped you achieve your goals, that we could deliver bespoke, customized nutrition to meet every single one of your needs. So someone will come onto our website, they would sign up and say, I'm a 35-year-old bloke and I'm training for a half marathon and I hate bananas. Well, our website would then deliver you these products to match your training regime, to help you get fitter and deliver on your goals. And that grew phenomenally, and that was through until actually just this year, it's been the center of our business. And we have 100,000 people around the UK receiving our boxes week in, week out. But what we saw was, in 2018 we sold 2 million bars through our website, and the Trustpilot score that we're super proud of, 9.8 out of 10. We'll find those guys that didn't give us 5 out of 5. But what was what we found is that our products and our original mission, which was very much targeted to performance athletes, we realized that as we sort of scaled and grew out, expanded within that niche, was actually the market was coming to us, and performance was no longer a thing that Olympic athletes and ultra runners were doing. Performance, we're all wanting to perform every day, whether we're going on a little walk or whether we're going on a hike or whether we're doing yoga class or whether we're just at our desk and we want to be fueling ourselves the right way. So we, wrong way. So we were actually approached by Planet Organic, which is I guess like Avoca over here. It's a sort of a UK, there's a small chain of high quality natural stores. They came to us and they saw our success online, and they actually also saw we did a crowdfunding campaign where we raised over £1 million for our business in 24 hours from our community. And they came to us and they said, look guys, there's clearly something going on here. Will you launch your products into our stores? And maybe we were being a bit dim up until that point in time, but we hadn't really thought about that as a channel. And it made us realize that there's actually a massive opportunity here, that impulse snacking needed a natural performance alternative to what was out there. There was obviously a huge range of confectionery. There was an increasing range of artificial protein products that were addressing the lifestyle need. And we saw a massive opportunity for us where there was this wave of natural, vegan performance meeting everyday impulse. And so there started a bit of a rebranding exercise, because our products were designed with the luxury of being sold online, where you've got a whole screen with rich media where you can communicate lots of messages. And we realized very quickly that our packaging wasn't working very hard for us. In fact, on the face of our protein bars, they didn't even say protein bar when we were online. So it was we then had it was a 6-month process of working super hard to try and turn these things around and improve the packvertising. And that was kind of happening all through this period. And then we relaunched the brand in June 18, and as you can see, that the number of distribution points has just sort of rocketed since then, and we've been really excited by the growth. But again, how the growth has come is building our base. It felt like long, hard yards through last year as we were slugging away and not getting any responses from any of the retailers. But really, when you're confident with the product, and you've actually then got the brand and packaging that then reinforces that message, you can get places pretty quickly in retail. Was the lesson that we learned. So now, where are we at? I mean, in the last 6 months, we've launched nationwide in Smith's, Sainsbury's, Boots, Holland & Barrett. Hopefully, making tentative steps over to this side of the European Union, and internationally thereafter. But yeah, so where's this is a sign from WH Smith's. We chose this one because obviously, actually, it looks pretty similar in Dublin Airport as well. And that was like that was our first big nationwide launch, and we're working really, really hard there. And in terms of like key performance metrics that we're looking at, I think when you're selling alongside the likes of Fulfill and Grenade and other protein brands that have really sort of captured imagination and driven a rate of sale up, which is a phenomenal level, we're starting with very, very high expectations, both of ourselves, but also from the retailers. But we've sort of launched with we've had to do all of the classic. We fight at the top table, so we have to have a promotional strategy that sits alongside the brand, and really the one thing that we've realized is that though brand and community and all those other things that we've taken on are super important, when you're on the shelf edge like that, it's very difficult to talk about the child trafficking that we're fighting. It's very difficult to talk about the runs that we're putting on. And so it's having to use every media channel that we have at our disposal to be able to communicate the depth of our brand. And that's one challenge that we are still really working at and trying to work out how we solve those problems. Taking a step back into kind of like where we see ourselves playing, and I think this is something that you guys will all be drowning in a lot more data and information than Tribe has, given our size and scale. But what we're enjoying at the moment is that we're playing in a market where all the growth trends are in our favor. Health, fitness, it's all growing exponentially, and in a lot of respects, the health and fitness wave has kind of passed and remained, and actually the nutrition element is catching up. So whereby you'd see a lot of people taking a traditional sports nutrition bar thinking they're doing themselves good, actually it's not necessarily the best thing you should be consuming. And so we believe that there is a new wave of kind of education around nutrition and how best to support an active, healthy lifestyle. Sugar is another big thing, and it's a challenge that we come up against consistently. In that being a natural product, we do use fruit in our products. We don't use sweeteners, and so therefore, when you would compare us to some of the synthetic guys that have 0 grams of sugar, but a whole load of other stuff in, it makes for like a difficult argument to have with people. Again, when people have got 0.3 seconds at the shelf edge, how do you explain away the 10 grams of sugar versus the 0 grams of sugar? And so again, we're looking for that next bounce to the ball and that focus around natural, and what does a natural sugar look like versus an artificial one. Sustainability is also something that's really at the core, and there's a small story around this, but we, even as a small brand like Tribe, I got a photo from a friend of mine who was traveling in Sierra Leone, and it was a tribe rapper that washed up on the shore in Sierra Leone. And I thought, I mean, if this is happening to us, can you imagine? No attack on Kellogg's, but you've got a lot more products out there. It must be happening even more to you guys. And there must be something we can do about this. In this day and age, with the technology that's out there, there must be something. So we set out, that was a year ago, we set out to try and find a way to, how can we still deliver our products in a convenient format for people to be able to consume in sport, so they're sweating, they got it on them, but still not have the risk of this happening again, and certainly with the growth that we're working towards happening more and more. And so we found an amazing packaging supplier who manufactured the wrappers out of eucalyptus pulp. And when put in home compost, it disappears to carbon dioxide, water, and trace minerals within 6 weeks. It doesn't impact the shelf life. And we've done our first production tests, and for one of our ranges, it's out there, and we'll be rolling that out through the year. So we made a commitment to go fully plastic-free across our products. And again, it was alluded to earlier. We have that luxury and almost that obligation as a small brand, because we can do that. We can actually quite quickly take these things from concept to reality. It's much, much harder as a bigger business, and so we need to be pushing those boundaries. We need to be testing what's possible, and we're really, really excited about that. And then finally, natural. Look, I've talked about that a lot already, but these are 5 big trends that are really playing into us, and those are the things that that from a marketing perspective, our challenge is to how do we communicate them, how do we make sure that those land with the consumer in a very crowded fixture. So again, this is so just looking at the evolution of snacking and where we see the direction of travel. This is, I'm afraid, UK market stats. But what's exciting and what gets us motivated is this part here, and it's where the growth in snacking is coming from, is around performance nutrition and snack bars. So, and I suppose conversely, where it's not coming from, perhaps is in confectionery, though there's still a meaningful number, but actually the percentage change is really coming from the functional element. And I'm annoyed that we can't be joining your functional foods talk on the 24th, because I do believe that is the direction of travel, where people are no longer looking about what are they not going to put in their bodies, or what are they going to take out of the foods they're eating. They're wanting to understand, what is it going to do for me when I do eat it? How is it going to help me perform better? How is it going to drive me forwards? I think that's a really important shift in consumer mentality. So that's all from me. I'll pass over to Tom.
Maybe as well. So yeah, I mean, I just might grab that little. So I'm actually just going to jump forward. I mean, first up, just to kind of talk a little bit about what we did in terms of branding and how we've evolved over time, just because it might be quite useful. I mean, we did a lot of the first iteration of the branding ourselves, using people we knew that were designers effectively. We did it completely on a shoestring. We wanted to get Tribe to market with a budget of, I think it was something like £35,000 was all we had to kind of get a kind of finished product in people's hands. So we did the first iteration ourselves, but it was really valuable for us to invest in, as Guy said, a brand redevelopment process. The midway point of last year, we felt like we got to a point where if we were going to really compete at a fixture, we were not going to be just competing for people within our tribe and people that knew us. In lots of cases we'll come onto it personally, but we had to appeal to the mass market, and ultimately it was really valuable for us to look to see how we could translate some of the early work we'd done on brand design into something that would have much more punch at fixture. So that was a really important moment for us. But just in the final, I'm conscious of time, but in the final few minutes, just wanted to quickly explain what our marketing strategy, to the extent you could call it that, has been, and what we think has been really unique and valuable for us in building a brand. And I think in a sense, this number kind of says it all. I mean, we really worked to engage with customers and take that spirit of the first Run for Love, where we ran together as a tribe, and ultimately create amazing experiences, whether it's runs across Europe, whether it's our weekly tempo runs that get 150 people every week, to sunrise yogas in the park. What we found is that actually if you create amazing experiences for people and you motivate them and encourage them, that's incredibly powerful. So, something that we are constantly coming up against is, the challenges of growing a tribe at scale, but something that we keep finding is, we went down and supported quite a large event the other day, and we were able to sample 2,500 people, but actually from a kind of cost-benefit analysis, if we can get 100, 150 people to an event in London, and we can do that just by creating an amazing connection and experience, that's actually a much more cost-effective way to do marketing than creating a huge event and set piece, at a much larger event. So there's something really powerful about community and building those personal relationships. Obviously, as time's gone on, we've focused a lot more on, online and digital challenges, because we got a lot of the, you guys are in London, how can I do more? And by virtue of being a digital brand, we're very spread throughout the UK. So it was really important for us that we not only were doing physical events, but we do digital events. And we did our first event in Bristol a few weeks ago. I suppose one of the great things about being kind of an up-and-coming challenger brand is that there's such an amazing kind of wave behind not just food brands, but drink brands and apparel brands that creates amazing opportunities for us to partner. So it's been great for us to partner with, brands, thousands of times our size, like Rafa, Nike, and Lululemon. There's such a wave now around being a challenger, being different, having a kind of sense of social purpose, and that's really enabled us, even when we were partnering with Nike at a time when our revenues were kind of 100,000 run rate a year. But, it enabled us to be much bigger than we actually were at the time. Again, it's by creating amazing experiences, we've been really lucky in terms of some of the PR and press we've been able to generate. Again, this is, just something that really holds true for us, is that, it's important not just to create everyday experiences, but, this year, for example, in November, we're organizing Run for Love 3, which will be a 280-kilometer run in the Azores, and it will be raising funds for our anti-human trafficking charity, the Tribe Freedom Foundation. And I think it's really important, and it's something that we really believe in, not just to create those everyday experiences, because it's vital to do things that are really accessible, but also to do things that are kind of out there and really push the boundaries. And coming back to that value of being bold, how can we create genuine life-changing experiences for people? Because if someone has the experience of their life, they're going to become an advocate for your foundation. And I don't know I'm trying to think what the book is, but I always think of, 1,000 true believers. If you can create 1,000 true believers in your brand, there's a radiating value of that's enormous. Just to quickly run through, obviously there's a cost to, invest in your community like this, but I just want to quickly talk about some of the ways we've driven value through it as well from a commercial perspective. First of all, road testing all new product development. So, nothing will be launched for us unless at every stage in that product development, the community have had a say and massively contributed to it, whether that's in kind of ideations phase or testing the first iterations coming out the factory. Just as a quick case study, we launched a hydrate product within 6 months last year, and one of the ways we were able to do that was that we had such a close connection to our customers that lots of that consumer feedback phase we were able to do in absolute real time. Similarly, we're looking to develop some new protein bar flavors to launch in some of our major accounts. The way we did that was not to sort of, us at a desktop or us just, shooting in the air what we thought was the best way. We reached out to the community, 5,000 people nominated flavors, 5,000 people voted on those flavors, and then they all came into the Tribe kitchen and made up those flavors. And that, the conclusion and the end point of the products and place we got to was so much more valuable for the fact that we have that connection. that is the kitchen, the Tribe MasterChef event, which was great. Again, as Guy alluded to, UK first compostable energy bar would never have happened unless, it's not, we don't look at some Mintel report for analysis. We do it because, lots of this came, from Guy receiving a photo of an energy bar in Sierra Leone, but also something we found when we launched our rebrand was people were like, actually, I don't care about a rebrand. Stop talking to me about plastic, or stop, creating packaging. So that was just literally people replying to emails saying, we want you guys to be better, and we want you to be pushing yourselves to be more sustainable. So that was something we were really proud to be the UK first compostable energy bar last year. As Guy said, ultimately, Tribe members now own Tribe, and it's been an incredibly valuable source of capital, and we've really been able to kick on since our fundraising. So that's been an incredible thing for us. And then finally, just the lifeblood of so much what we do is the foundation and our kind of sense of social mission, carrying forward, what ultimately started with Run for Love. And 3,500 people have fundraised for our foundation. Already £350,000 fundraised. We think we might fundraise over £500,000 this year. And again, if you were looking at that, ultimately we do that because we believe in it and we think it's important to have a strong sense of social mission, but that is 3,500 people that are advocates of the brand, emailing their friends and family saying, this is what they're doing, this is how we can fight human trafficking, and that's been a really powerful way to create a kind of great halo around the brand. So anyway, that kind of takes us to the end, and I suppose, would kind of finish where we started, that, we're all very much at the start of our journey, but something that, if we have kind of one lesson of, everything we've done around building community and building the kind of brand love we have around the product, it's been that you really need to invest the time in people and building those really powerful engagements with your customers and building amazing experiences, because ultimately it helps you make a much better product. And yeah, thank you very much.